this theory, and no need to learn them by heart, but they can come, like they can ask you in the papers that write 2 points, two main points of kinetic particle theory, or three main postulates of kinetic particle theory. Okay, so any postulate they can ask you, so you can write in your own words. Like for the first one, that all matter is made up of small particles called atoms, molecules, or ions. Okay, so you can write it. Number two, particles are moving all the time. Okay, and as we increase the temperature, their energy also increases. Okay, because they absorb the heat energy. When they absorb heat energy, their own energy increases and they start moving fast. Okay, so kinetic energy increases. The third point is that freedom of movement and the arrangement of the particles is different for the three states of matter. Okay, and as we know that in all the three states, solid, liquid, and gas, their arrangement is different. Particles arrangement: in solid they are closely packed, in liquid they are loose. Okay, they have a loose structure, and in gas they are very far from each other. So in all the three states of matter, the arrangement of particle is different and their movement is also different. Like they vibrate in solid, they vibrate at their own place. In liquid, they slide past each other, they can leave their place. And in gas, they will move in all the possible directions randomly. Okay, and their movement is fast also. So the movement is different in all three states and arrangement is different. Point number 4, this point is important, very important. The pressure of a gas is produced by the atoms or molecules of the gas hitting the walls of the container. Okay, and I explained you also a little bit last time that when the gas particle, okay, first thing is when we talk about pressure, okay, then that we are increasing the pressure or we are decreasing the pressure. So we will always talk about gas. Okay, keep this in mind, because solids and liquids are incompressible. We discussed it in the like last week, that that solids and liquids are incompressible, so we cannot compress solid and liquid. Okay, so we can only press, or we can only pressurize gas particles. Gas particles, when we put pressure on them, they can come close. Okay, they will come close to each other and they start hitting each other more frequently. Okay, their hitting or their collision becomes more frequent, so they increase the pressure. So this is the thing written here, that when we increase the pressure, then the collisions also increases. Okay, did you get it? Girls, online girls, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the more often the particles collide with the walls, the pressure, the greater the pressure. And if there will be more collision with each other and with the walls of the container, obviously the pressure on the gas particles will increase. Okay, next, there is a diagram on your book, in your book on page 12. Okay, this diagram is actually summary of kinetic particle theory. Okay, it's the diagrammatic explanation of this theory, that we have three states of matter. In these orange boxes, it's written about their arrangement and movement for of solid, liquid, and gas, that you are studying from grade 6 or grade 5. Okay, the arrangement and movement. And in the middle, in these blue boxes, it's written that how when we increase the temperature, okay, you can see these orange arrows, when we increase the temperature, how solid changes into liquid and how liquid changes into gas. Okay, what is the solid to liquid called? Mm-hmm.
Melting.
And liquid to gas? Yeah. Liquid to gas, boiling and evaporation. Okay, and their explanation is written in terms of kinetic particle theory, that when we heat the solid particles, they absorb the energy, they start moving faster, they overcome the force of attraction and turn into liquid. Okay, and same with the liquid, when we heat them, they absorb the energy, overcome the force of attraction, and they turn into gas. Okay, so this is the simple diagrammatic explanation of kinetic particle theory. Okay, next on the same page, we have this explanation written. First important thing which is here, which is written, is the space between the particles is called intermolecular space. Okay, the word intermolecular, what does it mean? Intermolecular.
Forces of attraction
Yeah. Between molecules, good. Okay, intermolecular means between the molecules. Okay, so if you understand intermolecular, you can easily write the definition of intermolecular attractions. If it comes to write that what is intermolecular attraction, and if it comes that what is intermolecular space. Okay, so intermolecular attraction is good. The attraction between molecules, and intermolecular space is simple. Okay, the space between the molecules. Okay, now these 2 points, okay, these 4 points, they are very important. Okay, all of these 4 points are about the gas. Okay, first 2 points are explaining the relation between pressure and volume. Okay, the relation between pressure and volume, and this is also the part of kinetic particle theory. Next 2 points are explaining the relation between temperature and volume. Okay, pressure and volume, temperature and volume, and they are very important. These 2 points are related to the gas. Okay, only gas. Now when we increase the pressure, volume decreases. Pressure and volume, they have inverse relation with each other. They are inversely related. Okay, keep this in mind. So you must have studied it in physics, the inversely related relation, inverse relation, that when we increase one thing, the other thing decreases. Okay, when we increase the pressure, volume decreases, and temperature and volume, they are directly related, that when we increase the temperature, the volume also increases for the gas. Okay, let me explain first point. The first point is pressure and volume are inversely related. So see, I'm drawing here. We have a container containing gas particles. Okay, and on the top there is a movable piston. Okay, and the pressure is normal, and this is the space which it is occupying, means this is the volume of the gas is occupying. Okay, volume is the space which it occupies. Okay, so this is the volume and it is a normal pressure. Now when we put more pressure on it, when we increase the pressure, what will happen? In the next diagram, when we increase the pressure, the movable piston, it goes down like this. Okay, and the same particles of the gas, they come close to each other. Are they occupying more volume or less volume this time? Yes, online girls. Are they occupying more volume or less volume?
less.
Yes, less volume. So this experiment is that when we increase the pressure, okay, when we are putting the pressure on the piston, it goes down. Okay, when we're increasing the pressure, the volume is decreasing, and vice versa. Okay, when we decrease the pressure, the volume increases. So this is the explanation of point number 1. An increase in external pressure produces a contraction in volume, the gas is compressed. A decrease in external pressure produces an increase in volume, the gas expands. Okay, so this explains you that why the gas how the gas is compressed and how it expands. Okay, do you have any question in this?
No.
No.
Okay, the next point is temperature and volume. So when we have simple container with gas particles, okay, and we are heating it, means we are increasing the temperature. So when we increase the temperature, what happens to the energy of the particles?
A lot of energy. There's a lot more energy.
Yeah, there's a lot more energy, energy increases. So when the energy increases, the particles start moving fast. Okay, they start moving fast, the collision increases, pressure increases, and they push the piston upwards. Okay, then they occupy more volume. So when the temperature increases, the volume also increases.
Teacher,
Okay,
teacher, can you explain this part again?
yeah, sure. This part is that when you like if you have a container and there is a movable piston, okay, and when the temperature is normal, for example at 25 degrees Celsius, normal temperature, and the gas is occupying this much volume. Okay, as you can see in the diagram, the second diagram which I'm drawing. Okay, it's occupying a certain volume, and when we are increasing the temperature from 25 and to above, okay, when we are increasing the temperature, the particles absorb more energy, and when they absorb more energy, they start moving faster. Okay, they move faster, they collide with each other and with the walls of the container, and eventually they move far from each other. Okay, because you know that when the two balls, they hit each other with a greater force, then the force with which they move back will also be more, and they cover more distance in the backwards direction. Okay, so if they collide each other with more force, then they go backwards also with more force, so they occupy more space. So the piston moves up and the volume increases, the volume which they occupies. Okay, so if the temperature is more, the volume which the gas particles occupy will also be more, and we can say that the gas expands when we increase the temperature. Okay, this is what happens when if we have a balloon, okay, filled with gas particles, and we heat it. Okay, balloon, when we heat it, then what happens after some time when we heat the balloon? If you think of this example,
It will burst.
it will burst. Okay, why it will burst? Because the gas expands. Okay, these particles, they absorb heat energy, they start moving faster. Okay, they exert a pressure on the wall, they want to occupy more space, more volume, and if that space is not available to them, then it bursts. Okay,
Okay.
so these are the two important points and the relation between pressure volume and temperature volume. So remember these two important points. Okay, can I change the slide? The girls over here, do you have any question? No? Are you
No.
understanding everything till now? Okay. Next, page number 13, the interpretation of the cooling curve. Okay. A cooling curve, as I told you before, that in cooling curve, the temperature decreases and the graph goes down. Okay. So, see in this picture, P to Q is representing a gas, and when we cool it, the gas condenses into liquid. Okay, QR is the condensation. Okay, when the temperature is the same. I told you that temperature remains same when there is a phase change. Okay, so when the condensation is happening, gas changing into liquid, then temperature remains same. And again, when it has turned into liquid, temperature goes down. Okay, and when it is straight, then it means it's freezing. Okay, it's the interpretation of cooling curve only. Okay, decreased temperature. So gas to liquid, liquid to solid. Okay, it's freezing, and then when again temperature decreases, then it's a solid. Okay, now here in the interpretation, there are only 2 points which I already told you during explanation. The number one point is that when there are physical states, what will happen to the temperature in cooling curve? When there are physical states, like when it is representing solid, liquid, or a gas, what will happen to the temperature?
It will rise.
It will stay constant.
No, when they are physical states, it will remain constant during the phase changes. Okay, you can see the graph, the picture. When there is a gaseous state, the temperature is going down, right or no?
The temperature will
Yes.
rise.
Yeah, it will rise in heating curve. Okay, and it will go down, temperature will go down in cooling curve. So basically, in short, the temperature changes. Okay, when they are physical states. So when they are physical states, either solid, liquid or gas, the temperature changes. If it is heating curve, then the temperature increases, and if it is a cooling curve, then temperature decreases. Okay, so in the interpretation, this thing is written that when it's a gas and we are cooling it, temperature goes down. Okay, and in liquid also temperature goes down, in solid also temperature goes down. Okay, and in the middle, when there are phase changes, when gas is changing into liquid or when liquid is changing into solid, then the temperature remains same. So the point number 2 is when there are phase changes, when the phase is changing, then temperature is constant. Okay, so these two things in interpretation of these curves, these 2 points are really important. Okay, so keep these 2 points in mind always whenever you draw the diagram or when there is a diagram in front of you and you have to predict it, that what is happening. Okay, and when you have to label the parts of the graph. So for everything related to these heating and cooling curves, you have to keep these 2 points in mind. Okay, basic points. Phase, when there are physical states, temperature changes. When there is a phase change, either melting, boiling, condensation, freezing, then the temperature is constant. Now in the explanation, it is also written that why temperature remains constant during the phase change. Why it is constant? Okay, and it's a very important question that why it is constant, why it does not change the temperature, because we are continuously decreasing the temperature. Okay, we are keep on decreasing the temperature, but when there is condensation or when there is freezing happening, then the temperature remains the same. Thermometer will not show any fluctuation, it will not go up and down, it will remain same. Okay, why is it so? So the explanation is temperature remains constant because the energy is being given out, energy is being released during that time. Okay, that's why temperature is not changing, because energy is released by the particles. Released by particles. This is cooling curve, okay? In cooling curve, energy is released. And if it is for the heating curve, if they ask for the heating curve, then why during melting and boiling temperature is constant? Then for the in the heating curve explanation, you will write that because energy is absorbed. Energy is absorbed by the particles. Okay, the extra energy by the particles during this time. Okay, the extra energy which is needed to convert from one phase to the other. Okay, from one phase to the other. So in heating curve, the temperature remains constant because during that time, during the phase change, energy is released by the particles in changing from one to another, from changing from liquid to solid, from gas to liquid. Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, gas particles are they're far from each other. Okay, so they release, when we cool them, they release the energy, they become relaxed, and then they turn into liquid. Okay, in condensation. So energy is released, they become relaxed. So during this time, the temperature remains constant, or temperature does not it will not go down, because during that time, the extra energy which the particles have, they are releasing that extra energy. okay, and to turn into liquid. And when they turn into liquid, then again it starts to decrease. This is the interpretation. Okay, first these 2 points and why this is happening. The key points about the processes taking place during condensation and freezing are: as the particles come close together, new force of interaction takes place. Okay, as the particles are coming close, because for the gas particles I told you that they come close to each other and they turn into liquid. So new forces of attraction between them are developing as they are coming close together. Number 2 point is, this means that energy is given out during these changes. Okay, this is also I told you that energy is released. Okay, they become relaxed and they come close. Okay, energy is released or given out. Third point is, therefore the temperature remains unchanged. Okay, so this is why temperature does not change. So this is actually the explanation. Okay, these 3 points, they are the explanation that why the temperature does not change. And what is this called? And the release in energy.
This is a phase change?
Exothermic.
Yeah, when the energy is released. What is the term used for it?
Is an exothermic reaction or exothermic
Change.
change?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Exothermic. Exo means out. Okay. Exo word means out. From exit. Okay. So exothermic is when the energy is released. So in the cooling curve, when the condensation is happening, when there is condensation in the cooling curve, and when there is freezing, energy is released. In these two processes, energy is released. So these two changes, they are exo in nature. They're exothermic. Okay. And in the heating curve, the two processes, melting and boiling. So when these two processes happen in heating curve, they are endo in nature because they absorb energy. Okay. Endo word is from enter or in. Okay, so exothermic change, in the keywords you can see the definition. Exothermic change, a process or chemical reaction in which heat energy is produced and released to the surroundings. Okay, heat is released to surroundings. So we have a system and the surrounding. So what is happening inside is the system, and what is happening outside is the surroundings. Okay, so heat is given to the surroundings in exothermic. And in endothermic reaction, the process or chemical change that takes in heat from the surroundings, and delta H for endothermic has a positive value. Do you remember these terms from grade 7?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exothermic and endothermic. So see, this is like this all is a review of your previous classes. Okay, so exothermic change and endothermic change. Okay. Then we have next topic. How much time is left? Let me see. The class will end at 30, so we have 10 minutes. 9 or 10 almost. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's start. Page 14. Next topic 1.3, mixtures of substances and diffusion. Okay. So we have two types of changes: physical change and chemical change. Okay, let you know physical and chemical. Physical changes which can be reversed, okay, which can be reversed, and no new substance is formed. So in mixture, no new substance is formed. No new substance forms in a mixture, okay. And in a chemical change, new substance is formed, a completely new substance, okay, and it forms a solution, okay. So mixture, we have mixture and a solution. Mixture is a physical change and a solution is a chemical change. Okay, so see the keywords. Mixture, two or more substances mixed together but not chemically combined. Okay, so we can separate them easily. It can be reversed. Can you give me an example? Any mixture?
Like mixture, like maybe a fruit
Air.
salad.
Air is a mixture, very good. Air is a mixture of different gases. And is salt and
Sand
water a
and
mixture?
water. Sand and water.
Yes, sand and water, very good. Salt and water is also a mixture. Sand water is also a mixture. Oil water is also a mixture. Okay, we can so simply these are that in which no new substance is formed and they can be reversed. Okay, easily they can be reversed. And for the solution, anything mixed in water like honey in water, okay, alcohol, okay, different alcohols mixed together, or you can also mix alcohol with water, it's miscible. Okay, these are solutions. And simple, ruabza, oh my god, ruabza in water. Okay, so these are the solutions. Now for the solution, in a solution we have again two parts in the solution, solute and solvent. Okay, and for these terms also you are familiar, right? You know these terms. So can you tell me what's a solute? Sorry?
Solute is the substance you're going to mix the solvent in.
Yeah, solute is a substance that you not mix, you dissolve. Yeah, you dissolve in a solvent. So solute, you dissolve the solute, a substance you dissolve in solvent. Okay, and mostly the solute, most of the time solute is in less quantity. Okay, mostly, but it can be in more quantity also. Okay, which you dissolve in a solvent. And what's a solvent?
The
The
substance
liquid
into
that's
which the other powder or
Solute
something
is
is being
dissolved.
dissolved.
the
Yeah,
solute is dissolved in the liquid or
yeah,
something.
yeah, very good. In which the solute is dissolved. Okay, so these are the two things, the two components of a solution. A solute is that with a substance which we dissolve in a solvent. So basically we have a solvent already present and we dissolve a solute in it. Okay, so and solvent is a solute a substance in which we dissolve solute. Okay, so solvent is the thing which we already have. Okay, we already have a solvent and we add a substance in it. So whatever substance we add or we dissolve in a solvent is known as solute. Okay, so these are the two components of a solution. Okay, now then there is a word suspension. Suspension is also a type of a solution. Okay, but it's not a complete solution or not a complete mixture. Okay, suspension is a mixture containing small particles of an insoluble solid or droplets of an insoluble liquid. Okay, suspended throughout a liquid. So suspension is like very small particles, but they are suspended in a liquid. Okay, they will not settle down. They just keep on moving or keep on moving or floating in the liquid. So it makes a suspension. Can you tell me any example of it?
Oil and water, sand and water.
Yeah, sand and water, it becomes a suspension, yes. Uh, yeah, where it's actually a mixture, but when we stir it and the sand particles, they move inside the water, then it's a suspension. Okay, because they're very small particles, good. And oil and water is, yeah, again, when we mix it, okay, we can see small droplets of oil inside the water, and when we leave it for some time, then oil comes at the top of water because of its less density. Okay, it comes at the top, so it becomes a complete mixture. So first it's a suspension when we mix it, and then it becomes a complete mixture. Okay, and also so there are some medicines, they are also suspension, like antibiotics. Okay, some syrups. Okay, the syrup medicine, the liquid medicines which we have, they are suspension because they have small particles in them. Okay, that's why it in most on the top of most of the syrups it's written that you have to shake it before using. Okay, because it's a suspension and the particles they settle down at the bottom, so you have to shake it so that the particles can come at the top, okay, or inside the liquid, and you can have the medicine. Okay, so the syrup is a good example. Syrups, they are good examples of suspension. Okay, then another type you have is precipitation. Precipitation is when these small particles they settle down at the bottom. Okay, and the precipitation is the word which is used for salts, insoluble salts. Okay, so any salt which is insoluble in the other substance, in the other salt, it will settle down at the bottom. That is called precipitation or precipitates. Okay, we call them PPTs in short form. Okay, PPTs means precipitates. Precipitates. Okay, these are small terms and they have very small difference between them. Okay, mixture. So a mixture, so suspension, when we have a suspension, when they completely separate from each other, they become a mixture. Okay, and when those suspensions, when they settle down at the bottom, and if they are made up of salts, then they are precipitates. Okay, so there's a small difference between them. Suspension reaction, a precipitation reaction, a reaction in which an insoluble salt is prepared from solutions of two soluble salts. Okay, this reaction, inshallah, we will study it in acid basis chapter. Okay, acid basis and salts chapter, because acids they form salts. So for now, just remember that precipitates are insoluble salts. Okay, any question?
No.
Sure. Hmm? Okay, I hope you're not sleeping because it's a little bit boring.
It's not boring.
Yeah. And the time is also up. We will look closer to the solutions in the next class. Okay, page 15, inshallah. We'll discuss it in the next class, solutions. So you can go.
Allah
Hafiz.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. You can leave the meeting. Yeah, but and go in line. Oh, you can go. Allah Hafiz. I'll see you in the next class. Bye bye.